And hello, Olga Lautman. This is day 290 for the Trump Tyranny
That's right.
Tracker. And we are here doing this quite quickly today because we've got a bit of a deadline. But Olga Lautman, as you know, is the creator of the Trump Tyranny Tracker, which tracks the incredible authoritarian grab by the Trump regime. And it's day 290 of the Trump administration. Boy, things are not slowing down at all. We should talk about the elections yesterday, or Tuesday, sorry. What are your thoughts after that big blue wave?
My thoughts are that, 4 months since we have been doing this tracker live, and documenting all the hell in the surveillance state and the police state and everything that is being formed. I keep saying it's up to the people. And, we ultimately can change the course of this. No amount of election rigging or propaganda will, be able to stop us if the mass amount of people come out. And this is exactly what happened on Tuesday.
Mhm.
People are fed up, whatever the reasons are, whether, they're sick of seeing ICE thugs disappearing people off the streets, whether it's the economy, whether it's the government shutdown, whether it's just the insanity, the humiliation of US. I mean, there are 10 million reasons of what could motivate people to come. And you saw people come out in mass, records. Um, Literally across the whole country. I
It was so
mean,
good to see.
every red states, blue
Yeah,
states, I mean, everywhere. And Dem swept every single seat. So
it's a real indictment on this administration and this regime that even in places like Georgia, they were able to win a couple of races. I mean, I don't remember the last time.
Mississippi.
Yeah, Mississippi, unbelievable, really, when you think about it. And then to have the incredible election victory in New York. I know even on Staten Island there was a large support for Mamdani, which surprised me. It's quite a sweep that they were able to achieve, but also the young vote and the young people, especially for Mamdani, was quite impressive.
Yeah, I'm not a Mamdani fan just because of some of his policies, nor am I a Cuomo fan because I don't support sexual harassers.
Mm.
And he's
He is one.
disgraced and was pushed out. And I mean, he can say, yeah, this is a witch hunt, but I mean, this is over a dozen women who accuse him. That's not a witch hunt. That's a pattern and a
Mhm.
very grotesque pattern that frankly should have been prosecuted if he was in this powerful in this state. But it is impressive. I am very impressed with how Mamdani, turned out the young vote, how he motivated people, and how he spoke to people. And this is the
Mm.
big difference. He has the gift of speaking to people and listening to people, not speaking at people, but finding out what it is they need and speaking to them. And he did a good job for New York City. Will this be replicated even next door in New Jersey? Absolutely not. In New Jersey, in Staten Island, my Staten Island, I mean, he didn't get that big of a vote. I'm shocked, but he did get on the map,
Yeah, which
in Staten
surprised
Island.
me.
So
That's very,
me
very
too.
Republican territory. Um,
Very.
let's move into the Trump touring tracker for today. Number.
Um,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to add one quick
Mm.
thing, that during the day and the day prior, when polls were
Right.
very tight,
Mhm.
which again, I don't understand why people do polls in America. I just never understood this. It's not a thing in Ukraine or the rest of Europe. But when polls were tight, if you noticed, the MAGA movement and Russia were both launching disinformation of the election being rigged, of election fraud happening in various polling places. Um,
The Russians also
and
had
you
these
had,
bomb threats, right? That you
yeah, and
identified on Twitter, yeah, or X yesterday. You were the one who called it out. You said the Russians are up to their tricks again because they were.
yeah, with Russia, it's always a safe bet. Blame them first and then investigate later. 9 out of 10 times they're it. But the point is that they were already laying the groundwork to challenge the results. And had it not been for so many people coming out to vote and having this 12 point, 15 point, difference between candidates and the results, then, they could have actually muddied the water. But this
Yeah.
the power of the people was so strong, and there were so many people who came out and voted, for Democrats, that it was hard to really call
You've always
election
said that.
fraud.
You've always said that, you got to win, but you got to win extra big when you're up against these kinds of people. And the people showed up, especially in California. I couldn't believe the number of people showing up for a state proposition. And there it was. They won that by a huge number. It's a good indicator of where people's minds are at right now. So, to the
Yep.
Trump Tyranny Tracker, the Department of Homeland Security has released Mobile Identity Identify, an app available on the Google Play Store that gives local police and sheriffs the power to scan faces and check immigration status in real time. The tool expands DHS's facial recognition arsenal beyond ICE's Mobile Fortify, instantly retrieving personal data and deportation orders. What makes this particularly concerning is that it puts federal surveillance technology directly in the hands of thousands of law enforcement agencies. So it's much more than just an immigration crackdown.
Absolutely. And I mean, now literally every single local police officer or sheriff will have access to the database where they can scan everyone's face. And I
Mm.
mean, really, we have, the train has left so far from privacy laws, and something we really need to push back on, because I frankly don't feel comfortable with anyone scanning my face, nor should any American, because today they're searching for immigrants, tomorrow they'll be searching, for whatever, list that they have.
Yeah.
And this is usually how this goes, and why it's important to push back. And with these privacy laws that are supposed to be in place, we do have a chance to push on the states to really take measures to stop this shit, because
Yeah.
this is insane. I mean, imagine now you're going to have all this law enforcement walking around just scanning everyone's faces,
Yeah, I mean, it's
or at least,
absolutely ridiculous, and it goes counter to everything the United States stands for and needs to be fought
yep.
back. It's a big issue for Democrats to pick up in the next year. Moving from domestic surveillance to border control, the Department of Homeland Security will begin collecting facial recognition data and biometric information from all foreign travelers entering and leaving the United States, storing photos and personal data for up to 75 years. The database will initially operate at airports, then expand to land and seaports, relying on a mix of government and airline cameras. Cybersecurity experts are calling this a prime target for hackers and data misuse, creating a massive honeypot of sensitive biometric information. Terrifying, really. You would think that every traveling to the United States has to have their data is stored like this.
Yeah, and I'm sure that everyone who does enter the U.S. probably has their face scanned, to cross it, check it with any list on terrorists or any wanted people, fugitives, whatnot. But I mean, the fact that now the U.S. really wants to like collect every single person
Yeah.
who steps in and store it for that long, again, something we need to push back on. You'll see. There's a reason I put three surveillance stories all together, happening all within the past 2 days, because really they're ramping up this surveillance state for everyone, for us in here, for people, abroad.
And then that third pillar you're talking about in the surveillance expansion involves the state cooperation. DHS plans to merge state driver's license databases into its SAVE system, creating a national tool to verify citizenship for voting, immigration enforcement, and benefits eligibility. This move dramatically expands Trump's data network, linking Social Security, passport, and visa records. This is the stuff we've been fearing for so long, that this is what they were building. In fact, they have been building it. This is a big red flag for privacy.
Yeah, and they've for months have been, going after states, the Department of Justice, and trying to force these states to hand over voter rolls, to hand over driver's license databases, Medicare and Medicaid databases, and everything and anything on us. I mean, it's not enough that Elon Musk, rummaged through every single agency inside the federal government, collecting information on us from Social Security to IRS, to everything, and fusing it together. That's not enough information for them. They need a more complete profile by going to the states. And again, like I said, and I will keep repeating this over and over, immigrants and, international students and, people who don't have as much protection, although I don't feel any of us at this point do, are the test cases. Because then from the immigrants, it will turn to, we already are seeing it. With green card holders, then it's going to be naturalized citizens, and then it expands to everyone. So, I mean, this is something we need to push back on.
Yeah, they really seem to be building this for a reason. We're not quite sure what the reason
Yeah,
is yet, but it can't be good when they need to be
no,
surveilling every single American and being able to move anybody, identify them at any point and move them into custody at any point. That is not a good sign for
no.
what may be ahead. In a remarkable shift in press access, far right extremist Laura Loomer has been credentialed to cover the Pentagon, joining a Trump aligned press corps that includes fringe outlets like the Gateway Pundit and Lindell TV. This follows a new Pentagon rule banning journalists from seeking information not pre approved by the government, which triggered the walkouts by all the major outlets, including Fox News. But now Loomer, apparently, will become one of the people that will be seated opposite Hegseth at any press conference answering questions.
Yeah, my pillow guy. Um, this is how state propaganda takes shape. I mean, again, something I warned for a long time. I've seen this happen in Russia, where regular like journalists got pushed out of the press pools from various agencies, in the early 2000s and then replaced with propagandists. They are controlling the information space. The Pentagon specifically is problematic because not only are they cutting access off to legacy media, mainstream media, but they're also banning anyone from speaking to Congress. So you have really no accountability there, and any information, that the Pentagon, at least what their goal is for us to receive, will come from the likes of Laura Loomer, that freaking sociopathic
Mm.
gateway pundit, my pillow guy. I mean, this is not the place to get your news.
Yeah, it's interesting that I think the New York Times had a story about the Venezuela, or pretending Venezuela incursion, and they don't have journalists inside the Pentagon anymore,
No.
precisely so they could cover that story the way they did. Our final story reveals preparations for a constitutional crisis. Trump appointed election denier Heather Honey and far right operatives are publicly urging Trump to declare a national emergency to impose federal control over state elections. Conspiracy theorist James Corsi claims he's helping draft an executive order targeting the 2026 midterms. This represents an explicit blueprint for using emergency powers. We've covered it here on Narrative before. This is really taking shape. They really are looking to implement this emergency order.
Yeah, I mean, he signed a few executive orders already on elections and trying to take federal control over state elections and election databases, state election databases. Now they're expanding. He's installed the Stop the Steal, conspiracy extremist into key positions that are working on this. They're going to do everything to try to rig the what is it? What year are we in?
26.
2026
Yeah.
midterms.
Yeah.
They're going to do everything to try to rig the midterms. And this is why it's so important that everyone goes out to vote, because voting will overwhelm whatever they're doing.
It's not just ironic, it's kind of just funny that the person who was behind the Stop the Steal efforts is now the person attempting to steal the 26 elections from Americans for Donald Trump. I mean, it's amazing to me how they've installed the very person who was amongst the people was it in Arizona, or I think it was Arizona, where they were trying to declare all those ballots null and void. Now she's the person inside the government telling everyone else how to keep their elections secure, which of course
Projection.
projection
Projection.
is the first law
I
of
just
authoritarianism. Um,
uh,
well,
I just literally, sorry to cut you off. I just launched my new series and really started with how Putin's background with neo-Nazis, and same exact thing. Russia launched its genocidal full-scale invasion into Ukraine, saying denazification. Meanwhile, the Nazis are living next door
Right.
in Russia.
Yes.
It's always like this. That's the
Did you see the
case.
story about the Heritage Foundation president? If you haven't seen it, you should
Yeah,
check it out. That's a good one
yeah,
and
yeah.
relates to everything you were saying. Well, that's a Trump tourney tracker for today, day 290. Olga, what's coming up at Unmasking Russia and at Trump tourney track in the next few days?
Um, I launched my far right series. It's going to cover the global far right, every single political party that Russia has hijacked, all the connections within the United States. I mean, it's going to have it all. So I launched that today. I also really suggest another thing that the media is not covering. I just wrote an article the other day about America's Rosgvardia. For people who don't know what Rosgvardia is, it's Russia's National Guard, the guard that suppresses dissent and arrest people inside of Russia, even for holding a piece of paper. Blank one. I just wrote, the quick reactionary force that Hexeth now is creating, an army of 23,500 people. That will be a quick reactionary force to basically deal with civil unrest, and comparing it to what Putin did with Rosgvardia. So those are my two
Wow,
things.
that sounds great. I saw that one piece about the National Guard in Russia. Absolutely essential reading for everybody who wants to know what's going on in the United States behind the scenes and what we can learn from Russia. Olga Lautman has it covered in unmaskingrussia.substack.com and also the Trump Tyranny Tracker.substack.com. At narrative.org, I just launched the uh, Greatest Heist Book 2. This is a really interesting
Oh,
one
yay.
where we get into the nitty gritty of the 2008 crash, and we show how Jeffrey Epstein and Jamie Dimon at J.P. Morgan were all connected to a network that triggered that crash in order to profit from it. It's quite a stunning story,
Wow.
and we'll be back actually in a few minutes, in 10 minutes, with Ellie Leonard to talk about that. For viewers who are still here, people can check that out. Otherwise, you can go to narrative.org for the prologue, which just came out yesterday. And that's our show for tonight. We'll be
Nice.
back in a couple of days, on Tuesday, when we do the Trump
Yep.
Tyranny Tracker again. Good luck getting to where you're going to next. And
Yes.
and that's it for us
You too.
tonight. Have a
Have
good
a
one,
good
everyone.
show.
Bye bye.
Bye.